Hello, lovely subscribers. It's Angela today on this very peaceful and magnetically flared up energy we are experiencing. I hope you're all very well and that you're all making plans to heal yourself in some way, or just to pay yourself the attention you need to do the work you need for this lifetime. So today in our wonderful Africa series, I'm not going to delay any more, and welcome back Derek and Harrison.
Hi Angela, hi Harrison.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thanks.
So how are you both? How are you?
I'm doing good, thanks, Angela. Good to see you again. How are you doing?
I'm very well. I'm just sort of quite expansive from an activation that has just taken place recently. So I'm just bringing myself back down in. Sometimes doing this work and continually repeating certain processes at certain levels really expands certain energies. So I'm just managing my own self, as it were. Oh God, so very well. Lots of things are happening. We've seen tremendous changes in the working shift over the planet lately. There's lots of vying going on for power and control. The revolutions are certainly not being televised, and that's okay because they're still happening and they're unavoidable. And it's not about show, it's about the expansion and evolution of the human spirit and soul for very human ethics of decency and goodness and living in peace and being able to feed your family and being able to sleep with a roof over your head. And these are very basic things that people want to achieve, as well as to love and be loved. So we've got a long way to go unraveling in this great resolution. So we're focusing here today on Africa. Hello, Harrison. How are you there, dear?
I'm okay. I'm doing fantastic. Just enjoying the energies that we have, though we're in the middle of an electioneering period. So finding that balance to find your own sovereignty and free will through that time period.
Have you written a soul contract revocation for Kenya?
No, I haven't yet written that soul contract, but the other contracts that I'm using to read my own sovereignty, and I haven't yet read for quite some time, but I have done some contract revocation on governments and their power and control over people's lives and that.
Yeah, great. And also focus on the cultural aspects as well, because it's who people are that makes communities, what they bring, what they give. So it's quite an interesting just change, and the more you can encourage people to read them at specific places. Well, I think I'm just tuning into another idea about you, actually. So I'll just pull back and we'll save that for another conversation. So and I'm saying that because I recorded a specific, I did a contract revocation event here in Glastonbury at Time Juncture Central about 3 years ago, and I looked at it and I was like, wow, okay, that was really important to do it at that time. And today I looked at one that I'd adapted for the UK, and I just heard it, and I just felt these disconnective layers. I thanked myself in the past. It was great. So, you know, doing these things, and future me has been, you know, do you see how this wonderful energy exchange works on another level? So yes, fully recommend, but I'll pull back from the contract revocation. We're honing in on Africa again. There have been many challenges here over the last couple of weeks. We've seen more wars, more instability, you know, not wars as such, but tensions rising. And it's all about the money and power and the flow of that corruption. And it's this such a strong imprint. I wish to say that it could be done very quickly in an instant, all of it, all layers, all cells, all groups, all tribes, all clones, all puppets, everybody who's involved with this globally start to remove their effects out of the waters of the people. So just what we're going to do here in this spiritual court of equity today is I just want to go to the organ grinder and let them have a rest, because they must be busy toiling away, doing lots of things. So those that imprinted the waters of earth with the money magic spells, that utilize the moon, that affect that are being used by esoteric groups to ruin families and villages. Derek, would you like to add in there, my dear?
Well, you talk about the waters, and one's got to take into consideration that the building blocks for waters is crystalline in nature.
Yeah.
So one has to include the crystal or the mineral kingdom in this work as well.
Yeah, and particularly in Africa, it's concentrated in, I think it's in South Africa, possibly the Transvaal area.
Yes, there's a lot of minerals in that particular area. It's now called Gauteng, going into northwest, and Mpumalanga it's called.
Mpumalanga.
Yeah.
Right, so Mother Earth is in the spiritual court of equity. Could you please observe what the communication is to you in this moment, both of you? Just have a sense of the burden on her because of it. It's like being squashed and pushed and having
suppressed, yes.
Suppressed. So let's include into this spiritual court of equity all those that want to interfere with her, her natural magnetic resonance. Now, this is going to get interesting, because we've got a portion of the spiritual court of equity that are devoted to the spells and the rituals that serve themselves and their greater goals. And I think you mentioned a brotherhood earlier, particularly relevant. Also, we've got here in this group that want to utilize the magnetic frequencies of the now, solar frequencies of the now, and lunar frequencies of the now. And these are particularly what they were considered to be high frequency beings here. And I just want you to check this out, because this is the deception of all time. Huge. It's really huge.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm getting this. Like the mother is showing me her body, and she's saying that just like the way 80% of her body is covered by water, it's the same with a human being, and the same impacts that are being done to her are directly correlated to what's happening inside a human. And if the magnetic fields are interfered with, they directly interfere with a human's magnetic field. So, and then I'm being shown all these satellites that are being blasted all over the planet. It's like their aim, it's like a grid that they are building. They are not yet there, but they are building it, and their aim is to broadcast a certain kind level of frequency that will entrap people in this kind of a metaverse or meta world that they are building. So it's like at some point they are gonna shift the current control of what's happening, and it's gonna be like a digital kind of control that will have a much stronger and broader stronghold among the humans that are here, whoever chooses to go the digital way. So
I'll just add to that, Harrison, is that the digital way is artificial intelligence, linking people up to artificial intelligence systems, which we've got to recognize just not on the Earth itself, but it's also systems controlled by malevolent beings off planet. And the grids, if there's there is a layer superimposed on it to affect the true organic magnetic nature of the grids, but you've got to always times it by 3 because they're things that are layered and hidden. So it's hard to find what they've actually done. So we've got to look at all the different layers that are layered above the magnetic grid of the Earth, the magnetic grid of Africa, and also the satellites that are being put up is to switch on eventually full activation of what they've been putting into people for absolute control.
Exactly, and there's a very strong utilization or enhancement of those frequencies that they will try and manipulate from Earth Mother as a result. So in these planetary moments, I would just like to ask Earth Mother, the soul of Earth Mother, the planetary sentience, what does she want?
Well, I'm picking up immediately that she wants all the people that have vetted for human flesh and mind and spirit and soul that's been clipped to be removed off the earth, which will actually happen. So that's also part of it.
Okay. Good. Did feel so.
Not welcome here. They can go to places that are completely artificially created.
Yeah, there's a change of guard going on too. Okay, so now for Mother Earth Soul, I would like to instruct those in the spiritual court of equity to start removing now everything, all the layers, the spells, and we will know what they are because they all carry a tie, a bind, and it can actually be seen visually, but felt enormously without knowing where it's coming from. So if there's any kind of person, being, human alive today that's had their natural flow of energy reduced, turned to nothing, restricted, because the system as a construct says so.
Yes, and I'd also add in that also that's been hijacked to fuel other beings and their harvesting.
Yes, agreed. Harvesting of all kinds, DNA, parts, blood, trafficking, the lot.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm also getting that there's a link to Babylonia. So, and it's what they have used those kind of belief system to create what they have now. So, and it's being looked into.
Oh, this is the part that Concordia loves. They've just discovered the records, their records. So their books, their energetic books are being examined. And these are the next phase, I'm pleased to say, the next phase of an investigation that took place actually about 3 months ago. And it was all about energy laundering and karmic laundering. So the people that were involved in these terrible processes that affected the lives of others and created a great deal of war, all the rest of it, the whole thing, you know, they were audited at a core level again, because there's so much still outstanding. And we didn't realize it until just now. So the second wave of books are being examined.
Well, I'll also add, I think it was over the weekend, that in Russia they had erected a copy of the Tower of Babylon, and it was burnt down to the ground. But also, while Harrison's saying, well, this is leading back to Babylon, I'm also picking up that Babylon was instrumental in ordering the plan of the Anunnaki onto the earth. And so you say the books and the records, but then we've also got to take into note the artificial intelligence systems that were inherently used to manipulate and control their victims.
Yeah, and the type of technology that is used is a future form of alchemy that can be instructed into program. It's not magic, it's not a spell, but it is a hybridized version that can be utilized in technological, physical technological form. So it's quite an interesting view of how they're trying to inorganically utilize those frequencies to bring about their false reality. So into the spiritual court of equity, I would like to kindly invite the one who can pull the plug on the lot and just knock it out. And there'll be some out there saying, oh, that can't be done. Want to bet? Right. So, right, here we go. This is the claim of this being, right? That they are the sorcerer of the world. So they, you know, they're quite dramatic in their entrance. Do you get a sense of them?
Well, you know, we've got to also take into consideration a sense of them by using also fake holograms of themselves.
Yeah. They are. It's just like, that's a little bit too sensitive. What happened to that obsidian?
I don't know, but I just saw a flash of a crocodile being just walking in. So
yeah,
I think
pull the plug, fella. Get on with it. Come on. And is he going to do that? 'Cause he knows, or she knows, or it knows, but it does have a male makeup. Biological male makeup. Isn't. Ooh. Right, so it's vomiting lies currently. Literally vomiting lies. It happens. I'm just ensuring that, yeah, enhanced security protocols are taken in this moment. Now, what this individual is saying that is going to damage Earth. What does she say? Our old lady back there. Right, love.
No, well, what is actually happening is we're wide awake. We know exactly what's going on. And that's why we have requested on the earth for the Court of Equity to sit and actually do the work. It has to be requested by people living on the earth. It cannot just be done by people working on other dimensions. So this is very good that we've requested that this work should be done, and it will be completed. I actually say this is a big sitting. There's a lot of fine details and intricacies. I'm getting tongue twisted here, but anyway. So it's going to take about 2 weeks to actually fully complete. It's more involved than you can actually imagine, but they are sitting and they have acknowledged our request in the session. They are working, clearing the waters of Africa from the Nile all the way down to the rivers in the Cape where I am. So it's clear also through Kenya where Harrison is, and the water is also the snow-capped peak, Mount Kilimanjaro, for example. So it's not the we see a river or we see a lake or a tributary or a waterfall. This involves snow, any form of water, or places where there are hot springs and steam. And it's actually in that steam, they are actually projecting the new programs of dissolving all old black magic, spells, witchcraft, rituals to impose control over the earth, over animals, over other people, over communities of people, etc.
Brilliant. That sounds wonderful. I can see that all happening. Now, I am requesting also that support is put in place so that people will not struggle in these changing scenarios. I just want to add that in there because this is really important. Because if people got a sense of the system was being eradicated, that they've become so mentally dependent on, it turns into an extra layer here. So in that spiritual court of equity on Mother Earth, all beings, souls present, sentience. And
Yes,
I just
add in here, sorry to interrupt you. One's also got to take into consideration that a lot of people have to think extremely difficult for themselves by the choices they have chosen, moving into the transhumanism agenda where they will have experienced different physical problems, mental problems, emotional problems, and when they leave, have problems with their light body. So the court has taken that into consideration. Well, if that's what they've opted for, they've got free will. If that's what they've chosen, they will experience difficulties. The court actually free will, the self-difficulties that people have free willingly imposed upon themselves.
Mm. There is that, yeah, agreed. And then there is also, I just want to provide the support there for the element of them being coerced into that position anyway. So it's a really touchy area, isn't it? It really is when it comes to this. So I'm just bringing that spiritual court of equity and resolution into the future, so that the true harmonics of peace can be firmly established.
I'm also picking up that the elemental kingdoms actually stepped forward. The courts actually brought them in to assist and also to work with the water sylphs in cleaning the waters or the veins of the earth and Africa.
Okay, and all inhabitants on this planet.
Yeah.
Because there is more than enough for everyone.
Yeah.
So
What
also,
I'm picking up.
Okay, go for it, Harrison.
What I'm picking up is it's like there's a massive war that wants to be imposed on the people because of the collapsing currencies, so that they can have something to blame, so that they can shift it into a more digital kind of a version that would be more controlling. And I'm seeing it's like happening on an astral kind of a level, but the ancestors are quite ready for what's happening out there, and they are not gonna tolerate or allow this to be imposed on the people by the bad guys just because they have the power or they think they have the power to do so.
Brilliant.
So I'd also like to add, if this spiritual of equity can start bringing through all the files, all the books on every single leader in Africa, past and present, that are using the systems to enrich themselves, their families, the regimes that they represent, and to actually deal with this and balance the books and give back to the people what is rightfully theirs.
Agreed.
Wow, the moment you said that, so many presidents aren't happy about that and their families, because what I'm saying, it's like 90% of their wealth is what they have scammed off the people of Africa. And if that happens, it's like they're gonna be bankrupt, or they are not gonna have the say that like they used to have before. But anyways, in the timelines and area where we are going to, I don't think that.
As you say, you see the crocodile being. Sorry, we've got a lag there, Harrison.
Okay, go ahead, Derek.
No, we didn't hear what you said. There was a bit of a lag in the internet connection.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah. I was saying, like, the moment you said the presidents are being looked into, the entire family lineage didn't like that idea, because 90% of their wealth is what they have scammed from the people, and their control is not gonna be allowed to go further. So what I'm saying, it's like in the coming times, we're gonna see some really physical changes happening in regards to that, where the books to be put to balance, because people are gonna demand justice because of the deals that they have made.
And rightly so.
Yeah.
They will. And it will be tremendous, because it will be felt. It's not just disregarded, it is by a certain layer. But you can't hold back progress, can you?
No, we're moving full steam ahead. And what I was going to add is that, you know, Harrison talks about the crocodile beings that are walking. And I'd like our viewers to also understand that when the Court of Equity sits, they also have different animal races or feline races that are actually part of this court as well, and they are not happy with what's actually transpired with these leaders of country, misuse of powers, misuse of the land, misuse of the animal kingdom. And they're actually working with a lot of the records and a lot of the books at the moment with the court.
Yeah, there'll be huge comparisons to draw and see the real picture. You know, I look forward to seeing the results. Wow. So how does that feel there in action today for you guys?
Well, there's still some old, what we call rain queens in Africa, where they, if you want to call it, their job or their work is to represent the different communities, the different tribes that they're actually in. And they actually call forth the rain, they call forth the water. They've acknowledged on the ancestral level the work court is doing, particularly today. So the rain queens and ancestral lineages have come forth to also assist in the work that's being done, so that when the new rains start to fall, the water has purified new clean energy as a result of the court sitting.
That's brilliant.
Yeah, I'm also picking that most youth, because majority of Africa is made by the youth, they are coming to the realization that the religion was falsified, and a huge or a majority of them aren't agreeing with what religion is doing. So they are shifting back to their old cultural ways. But the system is very cunning because it has noticed that, and it's placing people to invert those cultures, because that story was thrown away during colonization period, where elders were killed. So what I'm getting is that the ancestors are not gonna allow that, because it's like they are gonna broadcast a frequency so that whoever chooses to tap to the true history of their African history, they can get it from within their heart or within the electromagnetic frequency, so that information is ready for them, or they'll be pointed to the direction that they can go if they want to go through that path.
Exactly. And all mothers out there, you can do the same just by tapping into Earth technology and transferring that when you feed your child.
Yes, and what I will add also is what is creating this as well is that the young generation as such that are growing up have also had enough of being physically abused by the different religious orders, where they're insisting in genital mutilation for men and women. This also needs to stop. I mean, so they don't want this either anymore. It's old systems, it's old paradigms that don't work, that have actually affected people mentally and emotionally and physically, and it no longer has any place in the future systems and in the new world that we're moving into.
Yeah, I fully agree. There is no room for that. And I think that's worth addressing in Spiritual Court of Equity on its own next time we dock in and open things up.
Yeah, and
that's another huge subject.
It is.
Yeah, as we are talking, I think one of the leaders of a very huge religious, a Christian religion, so I'm trying to avoid naming him, but he has just been called in, and he isn't quite happy because that religion has been working in tandem with the money, because through the corrupt ways of twisting the scriptures and what their fathers do preaching to the people, they have manipulated the scriptures where they are leaving the poor people more poorer because they are like extorting every single coin they have from them in the name of giving to the Lord. So yes, yeah.
Good. Deconstruct, construct. That should be everybody's morning mantra. Deconstruct, construct. Oh dear. So does that feel like it's flowing and just moving in the right direction? Because actually this is a continual stream of consciousness in itself.
Yes, and as far as the leaders of Africa and the world that have manipulated and abused their positions of power, what the court is also demanding of them that they give back what they've actually stolen. And if they don't do it, they're going to be haunted to the last breath they take.
Oh, that's caused a stir. Right, the exchanges are taking place. Yeah, that's going through quite nicely. How does that feel to you?
It feels nice because through Africa, it's like there's a layer I can see pure water flowing through. So it's like purification is being done because of what's happening.
Brilliant.
And I'm also being told it's not only here because the money issue is affecting every single region of the world.
Yeah.
It's being, so there are strings or streams being run all over to make sure as this is happening in Africa, it can happen to other regions because if it only happens here, it's just a matter of time before it's reimposed back.
Yeah, and we just basically with this spiritual thought of equity, we use it as an anchor point because we know it's right. So all roads, I know it's an old saying, all roads lead to Rome.
Yeah.
I know that in the past Court of Equity sessions, we worked with the medicine men or the witch doctors in Africa to dissolve spells, witchcraft, curses, etc. But I'm picking up once again that the ancestral medicine men of Africa, they're also working still with the court and they're beating their drums. They're carrying on with the work because they've got all the records on all the books of what we have asked the court to do. And they're carrying on, and now they're working as well with the different leaders, past and present, that have abused their positions, and they're beating their drums in acknowledgement of this, and also working at the dissolving of any structures or medicine that they might have created to keep these lineages and these monetary systems flowing in their favor. So this is being dissolved.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Honestly, that's a beautiful oration, really. Spot on.
Yeah.
So, wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, it's gonna be amazing. Because I'm also seeing like the borders that we currently have in Africa at some point they are gonna be dissolved, and it's like there's gonna be more unity, and they're gonna be a force to reckon with in the world at the world stage. So
Great. That's brilliant.
Harrison mentioned that the memories of the culture of the different peoples of Africa through vibrational frequency, and they'll just receive that knowledge of the true history of what existed before religion was imposed upon the African people living on Africa. But what I'm also seeing is that we're talking about the waters, the veins that run through the continent. And water, as we all know, has memory. So with the work that we're doing and with the help of the water queens and ancestral and living on the African continent, and they're also working in hand or in tandem with the rains, the medicine people in South America as well. So where water, say, flows from the top of the mountain through down a waterfall, and you drink that water, the memory of what existed before religion was opposed. Different nations of the world or the African people, they'll have that memory of what once existed organically in according to an organic calendar, Mauryan calendar, and the organic time.
Beautiful, Derek, beautiful. Right? I'm blown away. It's all, it's really lovely to come into these sorts of environments and just, hear somebody else talk about it instead of me and see it and be able to interact with it and help and be present in that level of resolution. So you're really doing great, guys. You really are. It's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm also picking up that the last recent attack that was massively going around the world around 2020, during that period, it massively failed across Africa because there were those protectors making sure that it didn't happen. So the system is trying to put up measures to make sure that Africa is massively hit because it's not something that has ended in their future plans. So, and like in my country, they were setting up a very big WHO office here.
Oh.
And they are setting those offices like in different types of countries. And what I'm picking, the idea is to collect the DNA of these people to make sure that the next thing they release it's massively spread across Africa. But the ancestors are strong and firm in saying that it doesn't matter what they do, the level they are operating at, it's above what the system thinks they can achieve. So it's also been looked into to make sure that it doesn't succeed, or whatever they are putting in place doesn't come into fruition.
Well, that's also because your regime sold out the country to this group of people. So this is exactly what the court is dealing with, bringing those regimes and leaders to book for selling out their people.
Yeah.
Basically. But that's their construct. That's the way. You've got to remember that is the way it's designed. So when we focus our thoughts with everybody else in this moment, in this spiritual court of equity, we just focus the dissolution of that construct and focus on the resolution of Earth and her expansion. How does the burden of Earth Mother feel after what we've done today?
She feels a lot better because the water's starting to flow with a clean new purity. So that goes, there's a lot of water underneath the earth as well that we don't see. We just see what's on top that's visible to the naked eye. Mm-hmm. So underneath the earth, she's being recharged with a beautiful purity and freshness. And this was almost preordained, pre-planned, the work that the court was going to do now, working with the waters and the earth mothers, call it the veins of her body.
Yeah.
How would you feel if your veins are being renewed? Be starting to feel absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm going down to her inner core that's shining like pure white, and it's like affecting also inner earth races that are quite entangled with what happens on top here. So she is being offloaded of that kind of a system control, and she's feeling quite good about that.
Good. I mean, it's just stuck old beliefs, you know, once they get over themselves and realize that they need to progress, and it's happening, you know, it's just, you know, always there's a few, you know, and we're not addressing these issues in any angry, aggressive, unsacred form. We're just saying, right, we're all sentient here. Can we just connect at the right frequency of heart and make that experience lighter, greater for ourselves, but also for everyone on planet that we exist upon? And it's really simple. You know, that's where everybody's gone wrong. It's just everything has been overcomplicated, and understandably so. It's been a big old mess that has to be resolved for the next phase. So, wow. Woo.
Well, I think we basically finished tonight, because what I'm actually seeing as well. I mean, I remember Dolores Cannon once giving an example when people leave the earth and move on to the heaven. She calls it, you leave here and you go to heaven, and everything's all rosy there, and you live in whatever house you want or whatever. But eventually there's a knock on the door that says, you haven't completed your karma. You need to go back and finish your karma. So I'm just hearing that story, because people's old leaders of Africa, there's knocks happening on their door right now that are being summoned to come and rectify what they've made wrong.
Good. And that is all that, you know, that is really good, because that is the intent of the spiritual courts of equity, is to rectify what we have done. And no light worker generally out there wants to hear of this. No light worker or person wants to see themselves as ever being anything terrible or awful to the, you know, to whatever is going on around them. And this is the problem. That there is so much personally to unravel that it doesn't matter. It just needs to be done. And the quicker we engage with it, the quicker it can be resolved and the books are balanced. And the same applies to all areas of the spectrum of light and dark. Let's just put it into resolution and sort it out and move on into a different zone with different parameters, if any. You know, that's what I'm hoping for. Oh, dear. Right, well, thanks to everybody for joining us today. Any final words, perhaps?
Yes, I'd like to thank the ancestral lineages of the people of Africa, all the medicine men, the rain queens, or also the tribal elders, ancestral from South America and around the world joining the court. I'd like to thank all the animal beings of planets that represent the court, that are helping and assisting, for coming together for renewing the waters, the lakes, the streams, the veins of the earth, the veins of Gaia, and bringing a clean new freshness to it, and releasing of old memories of suppression through whether it's religion or whether it's through different regimes. I'd like them to thank everyone for their help and their assistance in coming together in such a way. We definitely heard the court is working, and we're really doing a good thing by having these fortnightly meetings to help us guide way forward as we move into new territory.
Absolutely so. Thank you, Derek.
Thank you, Angela. Thanks, Harrison.
Yeah, thank you all. And I can't put it much better than the way Derek has said. And we are just thankful to all the team players that have been with us during this session. And I'm glad that we have been able to achieve our goal today.
Yay, thank you, Harrison. That's great. So thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Catch us next week for another interesting expo into construct, dissolution, destruction, and rewiring of the UK. So, exciting. Thank you very much, everybody. See you soon.